Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Gyan Timirandasya. Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshrimalitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Today we begin chapter 10 of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Krishna Leaves for Hastinapura, with the commentaries of Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakur. Verse 1 reads, Shanaka said, after killing the enemy, desiring his rightful kingdom, how did Yudhisthira, the best of righteous men, while enjoying what he had won back, take up ruling the kingdom along with his younger brothers? What did he do? Commentary. Here in the 10th chapter, a description of how Krishna, after placing the Pandavas in their kingdom without obstacles, went to Dwarka and was praised by the Yadavas. Since it was mentioned in a general way that with the agreement of Krishna, the Pandavas ruled the kingdom, the inquisitive sages ask now, the enemies desiring his wealth, they obtained it and then he took it back from them and was able to enjoy it. Sutta Goswami says, Sutta Vacha, Krishna, upon whom Shiva himself meditates, became pleased, having increased the Kuru family, which was destroyed by the forest fire of anger, by protecting Maharaj Parikshit, and by installing Yudhisthira in his rightful kingdom. All these things were done by Krishna. Commentary. The answer here shows that he took up the ruling of the country only after seeing that Krishna was pleased. This is the principle of bhakti. Our actions have to be pleasing to Krishna. So whatever we may do must be pleasing to Krishna, otherwise they're unuseful, adharmic even. But here, because the highest principle is pleasing Krishna, the highest dharma is pleasing Krishna, the Pandavas wanted to make sure that Krishna was now pleased, and Krishna was pleased. He established the Pandavas as the ruling power upon the earth. Krishna increased the Kuru family, which had been destroyed by the fire of anger in that bamboo forest, by saving Parikshit Maharaj. That is, we know that the story was that Maharaj Parikshit was still, of course, just a embryo within the womb, but he saw Krishna protecting him when Mother Uttara was protected from the Brahmastra entering her womb. Just as the bamboo burns by a fire ignited by rubbing of the bamboos, the Kuru family was destroyed by a war which arose from mutual anger. Here it is stated that Krishna makes even Shiva meditate upon his pastimes. They're so attractive, the pastimes of Lord Krishna, that even Lord Shiva enjoys meditating upon them. Third verse, after hearing the words of Bhishma and Krishna, and thereby gaining knowledge and removing ignorance, Yudhisthira, having taken shelter of Krishna, ruled the earth, extending to the oceans with the cooperation of his brothers. Just as Indra, having taken shelter of Upendra, rules over heaven, extending in all directions with the compliance of Upendra. Commentary. The knowledge which appeared was that the world is dependent on the Lord. It is not independent. Everything is dependent upon the Lord. So we must make sure that what we are doing is on the side of the Lord, not independent of the Lord. Then everything will be out of harmony, a discord. So now everything was set back into motion in accordance with the desire of the Lord. He was free of that illusion that I am the doer. Gam means earth and heaven. Ajita refers to Krishna. And Upendra, that is Krishna, who took 3 steps, who appeared as the dwarf like that. So Parida means that ocean, and also all directions upwards as well. So everything was done in cooperation with Krishna, just like the compliance of Indra with his younger brother Upendra. Upa-Indra. The younger Indra, Upa-Indra. Here it says younger brother. The clouds rained sufficient water. The earth yielded all desired products. And the cows, with full udders and joy, sprinkled milk in the cow pens. One can see auspiciousness within the earth when everything is in harmony. Everything is running correctly. Sufficient rains, no drought, no diseases. Everything was in proper order now. The rivers, the oceans, the mountains, the trees, the shrubs, and the herbs of that kingdom yielded their products in every season. While Yudhisthira ruled, the living beings suffered no anxieties, no sickness or inconvenience caused by nature itself, or by other living beings, or even by themselves. Again, everything was in harmony, and so when everything is in harmony, proper balance is there, and there is a healthy environment, just like the body. If the body is out of balance, something is imbalanced within the body, then there is disease. The whole Ayurvedic system is to balance the doshas and so forth within the body so that there is health. Similarly with the earth and the earth planet, that everything has to be in harmony, proper balance. Then everyone is happy, free from disease. Everything is working properly. The rains are coming, the produce is growing, and like that. Staying for several months in Hastinapur to console his friends and to please his sister Subhadra, Krishna, after taking permission to leave, addressing and embracing Yudhisthira, bid farewell and mounted his chariot while being addressed and embraced by the others. Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Jujutsu, Kripacharya, Nakul, Sahadev, Bhima, Dhaumya, Satyavati, and other women, falling into confusion, could not bear separation from Krishna. The intelligent person, freed of bad association by good association, cannot give up the pleasing qualities of Krishna, which have been recited, even if he hears them once. In other words, how sweet are these topics of Krishna, that one who is free from the contaminations of material energy, in other words, spiritually in balance. That is also another principle. Everything in balance. Similarly, our physical and our spiritual self should be in complete balance. And when that is so, pleasing qualities of Krishna that are recited are verily relished. Even if he hears them once, the tastefulness of that. It's just like Prabhupada used to give the example of a jaundiced man. He cannot taste the sweetness of the sugar candy because of his jaundiced condition. Similarly, from a jaundiced condition or a jaundiced spiritual condition, then one cannot relish the pastimes of Krishna. But one who is healthy, body, mind, spirit, soul, everything, then one is relishing those pastimes of Krishna when they are heard. How could the Pandavas, who were absorbed in him while eating and sitting and sleeping and talking and touching and seeing, tolerate separation from him. They became so dear to Krishna, the intimacy of their loving friendship. How could they bear separation from him? How could the Pandavas tolerate separation from the Lord, whose glory is the intelligent person, cannot give up even if he hears them only once? Bhutana means pleasing. They are so pleasing. The intelligent person is described as he who gives up bad association by taking up good association, which means the association of Vaishnavas. Without the association of devotees, bad association, which causes attachment, along with hatred and other bad qualities, cannot disappear. Without the disappearance of bad qualities, a person will not become strongly attached to the pleasing qualities of the Lord. This is implied in this sentence. The Pandavas were absorbed in Krishna while seeing and touching, etc. In a healthy condition, one will find the pastimes of Krishna to be so sweet and relishable. But when one has bad association and develops various negative qualities, then the pastimes of Krishna have no taste, no sweetness there. Like a jaundiced man tasting sugar candy. No sweetness, no taste. Looking upon him with unblinking eyes, their hearts melted. They became filled with affection and moved wherever he moved. With unblinking eyes, they followed him. In other words, their hearts were following him through their eyes. They were filled with affection, and thus they followed him wherever he went. When Krishna left the house, all the wives of his friends blocked the tears flowing from their eyes because of their attachment to him, thinking there should be no inauspiciousness for him. In other words, we don't want to show any inauspicious symptoms like crying. They didn't want to show that, so they held back those tears. When he left the house, because of attachment to him, they stopped their flowing tears because they thought nothing auspicious should be presented. With great effort, they stopped their tears, but the tears still flowed internally. They were saddened by Krishna's departure. They hid those tears with the edges of their garments in order to prevent any inauspiciousness from being seen. Mridangas, kanchas, berries, vinas, panavas, gumakas, duduris, anakas, bells, and dudubis began to sound in great concert. The Kuru women climbed upon the roofs of the palace just to see him, to glance upon him, to convey smiles and shyness and love while showering flowers upon Krishna. Arjuna, that conqueror of sleep, and dear to the Lord, held a white umbrella decorated with pearls and a jewel-studded handle for his dearest friend. Uddhav and Satyaki held astonishing fans as they fanned the Lord as he was in procession. The Lord of the Madhus appeared splendid on the road when sprinkled with flowers, throwing flowers along the roadside. On the road, he heard the factual blessings being uttered by Brahmins, auspicious utterances by the Brahmins. Of course, these were not appropriate for the Lord, who is beyond all the qualities of this material world, but which was auspicious for the Lord, who has spiritual qualities relished by his devotees. Of course, Krishna doesn't need all of that prayers of protection or auspiciousness, but we see that's the nature of love. Mother Yashoda used to offer prayers to protect Krishna from any harm. Krishna is the supreme controller. How can any harm actually come to him? But still, the natural love of the devotee is that let us protect Krishna, who is our son. Because of the relationship, he is our friend. He is our son. They don't think of him in the highest position of master. That is called Aishwarya but in loving terms, they see him as a friend, as a member of their family, like this. The Kuru women, fully absorbed in Krishna, conversed about him with words, attractive to all one's ears and minds. Krishna is certainly that most ancient Purusha who alone existed without expansion before the agitation of the gunas and during devastation, when all the jivas, along with their identities, were merged within him, that soul of Prakriti. No doubt, he is the supreme source from which everything comes. Om Purnamada Purnamidam. Everything comes manifest through him. But even though he is the supreme Ishvara, Ishvara Parama Krishna, still out of a natural affection or love, they wanted to see Krishna and to protect him and make sure he was okay, like that. The Lord, after manifesting the scriptures and desiring to make names and forms for the jivas, then followed Prakriti, who desired to create the universe, but who moves only by his own power, and by his will alone keeps the jivas in a bewildered state. Commentary. Having spoken of the Lord's situation during the devastation and before creation, with his unfailing forms and qualities and pastimes, they describe another pastime involving his expansion at the beginning of creation, in order to describe the Lord's eternal condition, even at that time. Mahavishnu, manifesting the Vedas at the first moment of his breathing. But if he follows Prakriti, that is a fault, one may think, because he shows that he's dependent on Prakriti. No, that is not the Lord's condition. He follows her because he desires to make names and forms, such as devatas and humans and animals, for the jivas with no names and forms, by creating gross and subtle bodies, imposing upon them. In other words, the jivas in the beginning, before the manifestation of this creation, we're talking those who are within the material cycle of birth and death, within the samsara, when manifested by Mahavishnu, they are sparks. They are like atoms, spiritual atoms, that then manifest within this world and take on particular names and forms and so forth according to their karmas. Or we can say in accordance with the will of the Lord. Everything becomes manifest by the will of the Lord. So at the point of devastation, it all becomes merged back into him and then again created outwards. And those who are, of course, liberated, they achieve that transcendental state, which is called Vaikuntha. So this is how the Lord manifests the world, creates all the living beings. It is described how the universe is. We'll hear more about this in the Bhagavatam. Manifest out of the pores of his body, how the living beings are also manifest from the Lord himself, like little sparks, where the jiva is described to be like a spark from the supreme fire. So everything comes from the Lord. There is no beginning and there is no end in the eternal reality of things. As Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, never was there a time when I did not exist nor you. But there is the cycle of birth and death, the cycle of creation and destruction, when the jivas manifest within this world and then again merge within the Lord if they have not achieved their eternal perfection. So in this way they glorify Krishna, that you are the supreme cause of all causes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. You are the cause of all causes. But we know you intimately, and we cannot bear you leaving us at this time. In this way, as Krishna leaves, they offer their prayers to him. Gaur Premanandi Haribol Shirateshan.